Hi guys, welcome to Simply Scuba. Here we have the XDeep NX Project stainless steel backplate and wing system. So this is a complete system. This is how it comes in the box. It comes already assembled, so all you have to do is make those little adjustments to make it fit you. This is great for twin set divers. You've got a stainless steel backplate in there. It's not a traditional backplate. Very little about this is traditional. It has traditional elements, but they've made it much more comfortable and much more practical. It's a 3mm stainless steel backplate, so you get a decent amount of trim weight in there. You've got that DIR style or sort of style harness. I'll show you what I mean in a second. Yeah, just very clever little tweaks that make it that much more comfortable and that much more practical. Okay, so starting off with the harness. So the harness itself is made out of a traditional 2-inch webbing. This is a fairly stiff webbing, so you get a decent sort of feel to it. Starting up at the top, we've got a little loop, little rubber loop that holds onto your inflator. That's going to hold that over your left shoulder, hold it in position. And then moving down, you have pre-bent stainless steel D-rings on either shoulder. They're just on a little tri-glider, so you can move those around exactly where you want it on your shoulder. These then attach to the back plates a lot further down than it would normally do on a traditional back plate. And then it travels up and then it becomes your waistband. So like a traditional DIR setup, single piece of webbing, but because it's separated by about 3 inches, it actually makes the overall shoulder strap a little bit longer, so you get a bit more slack, which means that when you're getting into the back plate, or into the harness I should say, makes it a lot easier. It still sort of holds you in position, it's still nice and snug like a DIR harness should be, but it's a lot easier to get in and out of it. Traditional style sort of waistband as well, and you've got that stainless steel quick release buckle on the side, and of course a straight D-ring on your left hand hip. Your crotch strap differs as well. If I pull these straps out of the way, as you can see, the crotch strap is a Y shape. And of course, this is a nice soft sort of webbing because you don't want any stiff webbing sort of between your legs. 2 harnesses means that it's spreading the tension, so it's much more comfortable, especially if you're being pulled along by a DPV. It allows for 2 attachment points now, so you've got 2 stainless steel D-rings in the small of your back, and then they join together with the final D-ring on the front, just below that little loop that attaches to your waistband. So that's much more comfortable. The backplate itself, 3mm of stainless steel. It's kind of skeletonized as well. You've got some cutouts to reduce some weight, but it's an X shape. Instead of just the traditional sort of boring shape, this actually spreads the amount of sort of square footage, which means it's much more ergonomic, much more comfortable, and it's spreading the weight sort of across your back, so it's much more comfortable. You've got 3D mesh up at the top, so this is neutrally buoyant 3D mesh, a bit of added padding just to make it a bit more comfortable, especially on your shoulders. You've got all the usual attachment points down the spine, and down in the center, the bottom one is a long slot as well, so that's great for your twinning bolts. If they're not exactly 11 inches apart, you've got a bit of forgiveness in there, and either side, of course, you've got the usual attachment points if you've got any sort of accessories that you want to attach onto them. Okay, moving on to the wing. So if I turn it around quickly. Okay, so right at the top of the wing, where the corrugated hose attaches to the bladder, this is where the NX project differs from most traditional wings. It doesn't have a big bulky elbow with added failure points in that. The corrugated hose attaches directly onto the bladder. This way you get a nice smooth airflow in and out of the bladder, and yeah, fewer failure points, less bulk up around your cylinder valves as well. Of course, it joins right in the center, so that's great for twin set diving. When you've got 2 cylinder valves, you don't want anything getting in the way of those. Up at the top of the wing, if I stand it up, you'll see we have much less volume up here across the top. So that's great for a few reasons. One, the buoyancy travels down and sort of goes either side and sort of sits down here, down at the sort of small of your back. You have less buoyancy up around your shoulders. So that's going to keep you more in a horizontal position when you're in the water. When you're on the surface though, all the buoyancy is down at the bottom, so it's going to hold you more in an upright position because this isn't trying to float up at the top and sort of push you down. Dead zone in the center is much smaller than a traditional wing design, so that means that the actual buoyancy can be brought inwards, so the overall bladder is actually more compact, but you still have the same amount of lift. This has about 52 pounds of lift, which is about 23 kilograms. The donut shape means that you get nice airflow all the way around, and this is a twin shell design. So you've got this external shell of this sort of protective Cordura material, and then on the inside you have a separate bladder, so they're completely separate. If this gets ripped or torn, you can just sort of patch that up. But if the internal bladder is like 440 denier, so it in itself is abrasion resistant. If that gets torn or ripped, you can patch it, or you can swap it out for a completely new internal bladder. That's just as easy as sort of undoing that zip and taking off the valves. So sort of very clever. If I turn it around, you've got an overpressure valve, dump valve on your left-hand kidney as well. So again, very DIR. It comes with a really long sort of pull tab on that, but you can remove that and make that a lot shorter if you don't want a really long tab on that. But all in all, a fantastic starting place if you're thinking about starting to dive on twins, especially if you're diving in colder waters where you need an extra bit of trim weight, then this is a fantastic starting point. This is the XDeep NX Project stainless steel backplate harness and wing system. Thanks for watching and safe diving.
We are an online dive store serving the UK and the world for all your diving equipment needs. So why not visit us at simplyscuba.com or click the box on your screen.